back 5 or so years ago. 6 years, whatever it is. Jesus Christ. And I'm going through, I read it, and I'm like, I got to read this on something. I got to, whether I take it to here to the show or do it on YouTube or something, this has to be put out there. Oh, my God. It's amazing after so many years to go back and read it without the same, resentment, animosity, emotion that I was in at that time. But reading it, first of all, I got to say myself, it's pretty fucking funny. I go through all the people that are in the rehab, and I give them assumed names based on what they look like. There was 70s Barbie. She looked like a Barbie doll that was from the 70s that was left in a toy chest in the fucking basement. You take it out, it's Barbie, but it's a little mildewed and fucked up and shit. Then there was Bob Kelly. I called the guy Bob Kelly. And I goes, he wasn't as fat as Bob Kelly, but who really is? This is back 5 fucking years ago. And obnoxious Irish guy. He was every single drunk Irish douchebag I'd sat next to in a bar, wrapped up into one incredible douchebag. And then some of the various chicks. Pathetic old guy. There was a 70-year-old guy that just was shaking like he came in with such a bad case of the shakes. And then they, like his first day there, they make him do art therapy. So there's a 70-year-old guy sitting with crayons, drawing what's important to him in a fucking class. And I'm sitting there with 70s Barbie, and we're just making jokes and laughing. And then I'm looking over, and I just felt terrible. This poor guy is trying to draw a rabbit with fucking hands like paint shakers. It was so sad to watch. Every day was sad, and I note it in the journal. It's like, this is just sad. And then my experiences at the AA meetings were really funny, too. It's just attention whores wanting to get up there and tell a good story. And they get jealous when a guy gets a good reaction. The guy before, he didn't get a good reaction, then the other guy. And you could see he's kind of pissed that he didn't get the reaction he thought was good. And then there's just horrible degenerates that, whether it was booze or not, they would just be pieces of shit. So, it's pretty interesting. A pretty interesting take on 1 week in rehab when I first got there. So I'm thinking of putting it online somewhere. I'd have to just sit and read it. It would take about maybe 20 minutes, I guess, to read all the way through without stopping, but I would probably stop. So I'll see how that works out. We'll do something. But it was pretty cool reading it after so long. I don't know why I didn't continue the whole month. It was just a week. It seemed like after a week, I just would have been repeating the same shit over and over. It was that kind of repetitive thing that was going on. Maybe a couple of different people came in, but they were the same people. Just same people. Different wacky names. So I want to bring that on board. Maybe that's what I wanted to talk about over my weekend. Probably was. Didn't really watch anything worth watching. Oh, this is just fucked up. There are these two black chicks at Arizona State University, and they have an area that is just for diversity, a safe space. And by safe space, they just mean a place without white people, because it's really, that's all it means. They want to feel safe as minorities or disenfranchised or whatever fuck word she's using during this. But they want to feel safe, and these two white guys that are in there, one of them had a Police Lives Matter sticker on his laptop. And that, I mean, just go into a synagogue with a Nazi flag, because that's exactly the same thing. Exactly. It's violence. They call it violence at one point. What these white guys are doing is violence. Their definition of things is so perverted that just having a sticker on your laptop is violence, and they don't feel safe with them in there. They deserve a safe space away from from white people. So let's watch a little of this.
You have a better. You're offensive. Police lives matter?
Yeah.
We're just trying to do school.
What?
You guys have the same sticker of the other.
But this is our space.
We've
Our
got a
space.
Police Lives Matter
In a
sticker.
public
We're getting
college.
kicked out. Can't do school.
Public space at a college.
You just said we have to leave.
No, I said. You're making the
You
space
said it makes me feel
uncomfortable.
uncomfortable.
But you're white. Do you understand what a multicultural space? It means you're not being centered.
White's not a culture?
No, it's not a culture. It's white is not a culture. Say it again to the camera. You think whiteness
Could you
is a culture?
pause for a minute? Here's what I meant before when I say they just make up things. They just make up things, and when they say it, it becomes this gospel, this rule, this truth, this rule. White is not a culture. Could you have black culture? Of course. White culture? No. Why? Because we said there's no evidence to say there's no white culture. This is white culture. Look around. Look around. There's plenty of white culture around. Industry is white culture. Industry. These things are white culture, especially if you look at American white culture. There are various European cultures that are very, very specific to where people came from. And there are traditions that are practiced to this day, clothing-wise, food-wise, architecture, and then other things, just like ethics, religion, workplace, their homes, how they live, morality, all these things are various cultures. Now, when you look at American culture and American white culture, because they will absolutely tell you there is an African-American culture. And I don't think it would be the same as African culture or Jamaican culture or any other black nation's culture. You could take part of that and bring it with you. But African Americans absolutely say they have a culture. But white Americans are not allowed to have a culture. And that culture is industry, exploration, architecture, of course, clothes, all kinds of things that we think are traditionally American were American whites doing this. They came from where they came from. They brought some of the better things from that culture. And when it all got together, they made this American culture that was vastly predominantly white. At one point, the United States was 98% white. I mean, that was a white culture. Now, I agree with the woman in saying that culture's they're trying to destroy it. They're trying to make it like it doesn't exist, like there isn't a white culture. But there absolutely is, regardless of what they say. It's this mindset that you don't like the game, you're losing, so in the middle of the game, you want to change the rules to whatever you want to make it. You know, I've had this many times. Playing a game, is somebody mature, they don't want to play, no, I fucking play. And they got to change the rules. That's what that is. And black people can't be racist. No, they can't. Why? Why? Because you need a power to oppress, I just saw some white woman get fired from a job based on nothing but what a black dude said she said to them in a park. That seems pretty powerful. That seems like there's a power there to do things. I think black people have an extraordinary power to undermine a white person's life at this point in history. So indeed, black people can absolutely be racist and use that racism to affect people's lives. And it's happening right now. So just because they say this shit doesn't mean it's true. I don't mind the one guy wearing the, I think it's a Biden shirt, anti-Biden shirt, but the other little pussy with the laptop, he really needs to stand up. But I think he's just, again, in his head going, uh-oh, I'm going to get thrown out of school if I even fucking say boo, boo to one of these bitches. So let's watch a little more until I get aggravated.
Culture. It's white is not a culture. Say it again to the camera. You think whiteness is a culture?
This is insane.
So anyways, this is the violence that ASU does, and this is the type of people that they protect. Okay, this white man thinks he can take up our space And this is why we need a multicultural space, because they think they